Wonderful. Okay, welcome everyone. Thank you all so much for being here. I love hosting the Quantum Alignment Show, so I'm super excited that y'all are here. And we get to talk parenting. So even more exciting and fun. So I want to open up my slides that I got today, and I just want everyone to know if you are attending this webinar, you are getting a gift at the end of this webinar, and it won't be in the replay email, so you have to hang out with me, and at the end you're getting a surprise, a little fun surprise. So I'm just going to share my screen real quick. Okay, wonderful. All right, so I think you can see this. Let's see if this is better. Okay, so, all right, so you're ready to begin? Okay, so I'm not going to be able to see any comments or questions right now, but I am definitely making time for those, so please post your questions. It's always fun when I can interact with y'all, and so if I ask y'all a question, please respond in the chat box or on the Facebook Live so I can see it and know that y'all are, that I'm making sense, because sometimes a little dyslexic there. So today we're going to talk about how to get kids to cooperate without begging them, without screaming at them, and without bribing or rewarding them. So it's kind of a feat in and of itself, right? I want to welcome who is this webinar for? This webinar is for anyone who wants to continue to learn new parenting skills, because as your child grows up and develops, she's going to be, or they're going to be, going through different life stages. And so this webinar is going to support you to get them to cooperate and to support them as they go through every life stage. If you want to deepen the connection with your child and you want to teach them to be capable and how to believe in themselves, how to trust themselves and listen to their intuition, this webinar is for you. If your goal is to communicate and including behavior as a form of communication and believe that all behavior has a positive intent, then this webinar is for you. And if your goal is to nurture and learn new parenting techniques without judgment and without criticizing, then this webinar is for you. So who am I? I am the mother of three rascals, as I endearingly refer to them. I am a best-selling co-author of Abundance by Design. It's on Amazon. I'm a human design level 4 specialist. I'm a family coach, facilitator. I'm a teacher. I'm a speaker. But the most important thing you need to know about me is that I believe that parenting is the most important job on the planet, which is why I specialize in working with families to raise kids that are resilient to peer pressure and have high self-esteem. So a little bit about my background. I was born and raised in Texas. Okay, I graduated from Sam Houston State University with a bachelor's in psychology, and then I got certified as a victims outreach specialist through the University of Texas in Austin. But most importantly, my 18 years as a mother has given me the education and the dedication to support parents in having deeper connection with their children so that they experience more love, more joy in their relationships with their child. From my work, I know that children have 4 emotional needs. And when children lack the language to explain their feelings, they use their behavior as their voice. And as children mature, if they don't learn how to communicate when their emotional needs aren't being met, they continue to act out or misbehave. And it's a form of communication. And so my work centers around identifying what need the behavior is communicating and techniques to support children in communicating instead of misbehaving. So how does this apply to you? This webinar is going to support you so that you can better understand your child as you're going through these different life cycles. And as you support your child, your child will have the esteem and be able to find their gifts, embrace their gifts, and it will develop a deep self-motivation that comes from within. And of course, they're going to learn to be responsible, independent, based on what's age appropriate and developmentally appropriate for your age. But kids love to help. They love being responsible. They love being independent. And the more space you give them and nurture that, then the more they enjoy taking on more and more responsibility as they get older, as it's appropriate. Eventually you're going to get to a point with your kids where they're not constantly hanging on your hip, right? And you're constantly overseeing everything they eat and drink and say and do and where they go, Eventually you're going to get to a point where there's more distance between you. And when that happens, you want to make sure that your kids are peer pressure resistant. And that happens only when your child has high self-esteem. And so to fostering a deeper connection with your child so that you experience more joy, more love in your relationship with your child is going to give your child the confidence to go out and experiment in the world and be peer pressure resistant. So today we're going to cover 3 secrets. The first secret is the power of language and why your words matter. The second secret is how to deal with your feelings and your child's feelings. And the third secret is how to listen to your child so they listen to you. So first I want to talk about the power of language because words are super important and they're very critical to the relationship with yourself and with your child. Your words matter because the quality of your life is based on the way you communicate with yourself. And because how we label our experiences will elicit an emotion. So what do I mean by that? All upsets come down to the meaning that we communicate to ourselves about an event. So for example, if something happens with your child, they act out in a very public place, you are telling yourself, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed, I'm humiliated, how could this happen? Why are they doing this to me? What are you communicating to yourself? You're right there telling yourself how to feel. Now you are going to elicit that emotion of humiliation. Whereas if you were to say, this is a little frustrating, the emotion that you elicit from that statement as opposed to, I'm humiliated, is very different on intensity. And events happen over and over again. Your child is going to act out in public again. And even if they never do, in your mind, you're going to remember it and you're going to think about it and you're going to communicate about it and then you're going to elicit the emotion. And so the label that we put on our experience becomes our experience. But it doesn't have to be that way. Most of us are on autopilot. We have all of these labels and meanings or rules that we don't really consciously think about. And actually, they've been given to us and handed down to us by our parents and society and our experiences. And we are told this means that. Whenever someone slaps you, it means, you were bad. Or it might mean, whenever you make a mess, you're in trouble. And now, you're going to get a spanking. Those emotions and those meanings, are conditioned and passed down from our parents, from our societies, from all the accumulation of the experiences that you've had. And it's no wonder that a lot of us are blaming other people on how we feel, because we didn't even come up with those meanings initially. Initially, someone gave them to us and told us how to feel. And if they're telling us how to feel and what it means, well, then it's their fault, right? So I really want to challenge you to look at the rules that you have, the meanings that you give, experiences. When someone says hi, what does that mean to you? They're being friendly. They're being sarcastic, right? It could mean so many things. It's your meaning, and you have this rule. Like, okay, if I'm in a good mood and someone says hi, they're being friendly. But if I'm in a bad mood and someone says hi, they're being sarcastic. And so we determine how we feel based on the meaning that we communicate about that. And so if you're feeling really friendly, you're going to have a completely different interaction with your family, with your friends, with your coworkers, with strangers, than if you're feeling sarcastic, right? How many people know Bethany Hamilton's story? This is an amazing story, and I share it with my kids because it is just so inspirational. Bethany Hamilton is a competitive surfer. And she started competing when she was about 8 years old. And whenever she was 13, she went with her friend's family to go surfing and just hang out and practice. And while she was there, a tiger shark came up and bit her arm off. I don't know about you, but that would mean a lot of things to me, right? What, in your opinion, would be the meaning that would make you upset all the time if you had a piece of your body eaten by a shark? And I just want to check the comments real quick. If you had a piece of your body eaten from a shark bite, what would be the meaning you would give it? I mean, it's devastating, right? I would be devastated. I lost my arm. I'm maimed for life. This incredible girl, within a month of having this horrific accident happen, she was in the water surfing. Okay? I'm from Texas, and we don't have really clean beaches because it's a gulf, okay? And the ocean is pretty murky. You can't really see very well through it, and we typically don't get in it. The last time I really got in it was like in my early 20s, and I was in like this raft, this little lifeboat thingy that we were all just chilling in and just floating in. And we started drifting out and further out to sea. And then I was like, okay, you know what? I think it's time for us to start paddling back. Well, we start paddling toward the shore, and we realize we are surrounded by jellyfish. There are these huge jellyfish, we're just like floating on top of their heads almost, okay? And we were safe. The boat was very strong. It was a thick type of whatever material, but we got back to shore safe and sound. No one got stung by the jellyfish at all. But to this day, I'm afraid to get into the ocean, okay? Bethany is not only in the ocean, she is competitively surfing in the ocean. She is a professional surfer, and she's actually won championships. And so the meaning that she gave this, it's something that is amazing, inspirational, life-changing. She did not live in fear. Okay, the meaning that she gave it was, this is a learning experience. I'm going to do something different next time. This isn't going to stop me. I'm going to keep surfing. And she did, and she does. And it's just super, super inspirational, which is why I share it with my kids, to let them know, like, it doesn't have to be that way. And so I want to ask you, what are your rules? Are you consciously choosing your rules and your meanings and your labels? Or are you picking up labels that somebody else gave you, or that have been passed down to you, or maybe that one bad experience gave you? What are your rules? Like, really think about it. Are your rules communicating something positive to you, or in eliciting these positive emotions that make you feel good and dedicated and inspired and motivated? Or are your rules eliciting other emotions that are causing you to procrastinate or live in fear or be hurt? So when we're with our kids, what meanings are we giving every experience? If your kid throws their food on the floor, what does that mean, right? What label are we giving that? You're bad, you're being mean, you're, making a mess, you're mad at me because I'm making you eat carrots and you don't want to eat the carrots, or you're bored, or you're not hungry, or you want to play. Those meanings are going to elicit completely opposite emotions. What if your teenager slams the door? Or a car door? Does that mean they don't care about your stuff? That they are disrespecting you? Or does it mean they didn't realize what they did? And you can just say, hey, next time please don't slam the door. Or breaking curfew and coming home late. What does that mean? You had me worried, right? It's your fault. I've been worrying this whole time because you're home late and you were supposed to come home at this time, and because you didn't, that means I have to wait up for you, and I have to be mad at you whenever you walk through the door. If someone's coming home late, what else could that mean? Is everything okay? What happened? Did you lose track of time? Okay, if you lost track of time, what can we do next time so that doesn't happen again? Do we need to set an alarm on your phone? Do we need to you not be able to go out again after a certain time? Like, what can we do instead of just eliciting all these crazy emotions that are going to inhibit a deeper connection with you and your child? I want to ask you something. I want to question you a little bit and ask you, what if, hypothetically speaking, what if you believed that your child's responses and that all of their behavior always had a positive intent? That whenever they threw food on the floor, there was a positive intent behind it. Or if they came home after curfew and didn't call you, there's actually a positive intent behind that. Or if they're slamming a door, there's actually a positive intent somewhere in there. If you believe that, how would that change the emotions that you elicit? What I do is I teach parents to label responses and behaviors in two ways. One, your child is either giving you a loving response, or two, they're asking for your help. They're screaming for your help. And so if your child is throwing food on the floor, are they asking for your help, or is that a loving response? If you have to choose one, what are you going to choose? How can I find out what my child likes to tell me through its actions? Oh, yeah, we're going to be talking about that, definitely. So if you're, instead of labeling or just automatically going on autopilot and finding the meaning that you have subconsciously ingrained and conditioned yourself with, what if you asked yourself a question instead? What's going on with my child that makes them respond that way? What's going on with my child that makes them respond that way? You know, that's a really great question, and you're going to get a lot of feedback. And that feedback is really going to change the dynamic between you and your child. Because if you're curious, then you're open, and your child isn't intimidated by your feelings or your emotions, and you're not intimidated by theirs. And there's just completely open communication that you can have. So I want to share kind of a funny story with you. When I was a kid, I would go to my aunt's house for a couple of weeks out of the summer. And she worked at American Red Cross, and she took a couple of weeks off from work to be with me and my brother. And I think I was there by myself, though. And my sister was older, so she could kind of go to work with my aunt. Well, one time something had happened, probably some hurricane or something. I was really young. I still don't remember all the details. But she had to leave me with the babysitter. She had to go into work, and I couldn't come, and I couldn't stay. I was too small to stay home by myself. And so she dropped me off at one of her friends' house that babysat children. And while I was there, all the other kids had went home, and there was no one left to play with, and it was really boring. And she was a good friend of my aunt, so my aunt knew, she knew my aunt was going to be pretty late picking me up. Well, she started cooking dinner for me, and I was a super picky kid. I didn't like anything. There were like 3 things I would eat, and that's it. And she didn't know that, and she started cooking me some food that I did not like. And she had told me that I had to sit at that table and finish the food until I was done. And I was like, oh man, this really sucks, because I don't want to be at this table. Like, I don't want to be here, and I'm not going to eat this food. Like, I'm really stubborn, and she doesn't know it, but I'm not eating this food. And so we kind of went back and forth, eat your food. No, I can't. I don't like it. Back and forth. And eventually I flicked her off. I stuck up my middle finger at her, and she was furious. Her eyes like popped out of her head. She couldn't believe that this little innocent looking girl was giving her the middle finger. And she said, Kristin, do you know what that means? And I said, yes, it means go outside and play. The meanings that we give things, it's going to mean something completely different to me at that age than it meant to her at her age. And so I just really want to challenge you and question you, like, what are your meanings and where did you get them from? That meaning, the way I got it is my dad. My dad and his friend were joking off and laughing, and his friend left, and my dad shot him the bird, gave him the middle finger. And I said, what, Dad, what is that? And he said, it means go outside and play. And I thought that meant go outside and play. So, I learned it does not mean that. It's actually something very disrespectful. So the next thing I want to talk to you about is how to deal with your feelings and with your kids' feelings, because together your feelings are exaggerating and feeding off each other and flowing in and out of each other. There's this huge thing that happens with with the emotions, okay? It pulls people in and it pushes them away, and it's just really, really chaotic sometimes and really natural other times. Sometimes it feels really good, and other times it's scary and intimidating. So how do you deal with that, right? First, what kids do is if they can't express their feelings, we learn to protect ourselves. And the way that we protect ourselves is by hiding ourselves and holding our emotions inside if we don't think it's safe to express them. So, if you're really sad about something, and as a kid, your parents said, oh, you want to cry? I'll give you something to cry about. You sucked it inside and you quit crying and you stopped expressing, and you had to hide to protect yourself because you did not want something to cry about, because you knew what that meant. They were going to spank you. You did not want that, okay? Or you shouldn't hate your sister. Your sister's family. You have to love her. Well, in that moment, you may really hate your sister, right? And so when they're telling you that you shouldn't feel what you're feeling, it confuses you. Or big boys don't cry, or big kids don't cry. So I'm feeling sad, or I feel like so angry I need to cry, but I can't do that because then that means I'm not a big kid, so I have to keep it inside, and so I hold it inside and I hide. But in that hiding, we stop listening to the message those emotions are giving us. And those emotions are just messages. That's it. It's just, hey, this is what's going on right now. Here's the message. Take some advice or not, but here it is. But if we don't listen to the message, if we repress it, those emotions will grow. And eventually, they will start manifesting in some other way inside of our body. They will make us uncomfortable. They will keep us from, they will make us maybe shy, or maybe really outgoing, or just really crazy, or just hide and hide and hide away from everyone. Make you feel like you can't be yourself, and then you have to figure out who you're supposed to be. So I want to go over what different emotions mean and what messages they're giving you. So fear's message is that you need to get prepared. Something is either happening or something is going to happen, and you need to be prepared for it, or you need to figure out how to cope with the situation as it happens or after it happens. And in human design, where we see fear is the spleen. Every gate in the spleen is what we call a fear gate. And so you have gate 48, which is the fear of inadequacy, the fear of not being enough. You have the gate 57, which is the fear of the future. You have gate 44, which is the fear of the past. The past is going to repeat itself. You have the gate 50, which is the fear of failing your family and your loved ones. You have gate 32, which is fear of failing in general. I'm going to fail. It's not going to work out. You have gate 28, which is the fear that life has no meaning, that nothing is worth it. And then gate 18 is the fear of not being perfect. And so these people won't try, or they'll quit in the middle of something. And these fears, if you have any of these, can hold you back and paralyze you from moving forward. But all of these fear gates, they just have a message for you. Get prepared, or, it's just to be prepared. And once you're prepared, then you can move forward. When we get hurt, when our feelings get hurt, that message is, hey, there's an expectation that did not get met. In the collective emotional wave, that particular emotional wave is tied to our expectations. And so that's why I put that here in the human design where you can find that in human design. There's actually a few places you can find this in human design, but because we don't have a lot of time to go into every single one, I'm just throwing the really big ones out there. And the sensing circuit. The sensing circuit is all about having an experience. Well, if you have an expectation of how it should look or what it should look like or how it should feel, what it should sound like, and that doesn't happen, then you stop having those experiences and you block yourself from learning. Sensing circuit is the kinesthetic learner. It needs to go out and experiment and learn and touch and feel and hear. Anger. Anger's message is an important rule or standard that you hold has been violated by someone else or even by you if you're angry with yourself. And we see a lot of anger in the manifester. And the manifester is designed to be incredibly capable. They don't need anyone else. And they are really designed to be these very capable people. But that doesn't really work in society, right? You have to need me. I'm your mom, and you have to need this or that, and you need a job. And the manifestor's like, why do I have to have all this stuff? You know, they're getting their not self-theme is anger. They need to have a lot of freedom and have the ability to be able to quit something that they started and go do something else. Not everything that a manifestor starts or does is going to work out, and they need to be able to sever ties and do a 180 because their energy is limited. It's not as abundant as a generator or a manifesting generator. Frustration. Frustration's message is pretty exciting. It's saying that your brain believes that you could be doing better than what you actually are. And this is the generator theme. And generators are actually designed to get frustrated. Generators are generator types, including manifesting generators, are designed to achieve mastery. And in achieving mastery, you have to go through a lot of repetition. And that repetition means doing something over and over and over and over again. And sometimes we get so frustrated we quit instead of waiting and doing what's correct for us. If it may be correct for us to quit, or it may be correct for us to take a little break, or it may be correct for us to continue to just keep on, and because that might be part of your process of achieving mastery. Disappointment's message is that an expectation that you've had is probably not going to happen. And here's where we see the reflectors. Their not self-theme is disappointment. The unique thing about the reflector is their entire human design chart is open. And anytime there's openness in human design, we take that energy in and we amplify it. And whenever the reflector is taking in all of this energy and amplifying it, they're having all of these emotions, that are being elicited from them and that they're supposed to be expressing, and it gives them a lot of experience and knowledge. But they're not designed to make decisions based on everything that's going on within them. They need a lot of time. And if they don't have that time, and in human design, the minimum time is a lunar cycle. So that's about, a month that you're waiting around to make a really big decision in your life. Not decisions like doing the laundry or where do you want to eat or what you want to eat, but major life decisions that are really going to cause a lot of transformation and change, like a career or a career path or where you want to work or a relationship or where do you want to live. Those things are going to take a reflector a lot of time to sift through all of the energies that they are picking up and amplifying. And then again, we have the emotional collective wave. If you are emotionally defined through the 4130 or the 3635, expectations are going to be tied to your emotions. If your expectations are getting met, then your emotions are going to be high. If your expectations stop getting met, you're going to come down. And so really being aware of your meanings and your expectations and your rules are going to support you and everyone else so that you have a more enjoyable time and that you make sure that your expectations are in alignment with everyone else's. Guilt. This is a big one that I know I have tried to use on my kids. They are a little immune to it for some reason, but it worked really well on me. Guilt is when you have violated one of your own standards. And we see this in gate 27 and gate 50. Well, guess what? If your parent gave you the rule and told you what you needed to feel guilty about, and you're still feeling guilty about it, 30 years later, and now you're trying to imprint your kids with what they should be feeling guilty about, it's going to, they're realizing, wait, that's not even mine, that's not even my rule or my standard or my meaning. If in the past, I try to tell my kids, like, you have to do this for your family or else, and they're like, no, I don't. I love my family. Why does doing the dishes mean I don't love my family? Well, it does mean it because you're doing something for like, I love you no matter what. I love you. I care about you. I want you to be happy, but I'm just not going to do the dishes right now. No, you have to do them right now. It's just back and forth banter. Okay, inadequacy. Inadequacy's message is that you currently don't have a level of skill that you need in the situation. And we see this in gate 48. This is also one of those fear gates, fear of not being enough. But what's really cool about the fear of inadequacy is that most people who have this fear are driven and propelled to develop skills and certifications and training and education so that they do have those skills. However, sometimes they can get stuck in thinking they don't have enough, even though they're actually really, really qualified, or overly qualified, I should say. Loneliness's message. If you're feeling lonely, the message is you need a connection. You need a real connection, not just, oh, this is what you're supposed to feel, so feel it, okay. That's not a real connection. Telling your kids or your partner what they should be doing is not going to elicit the true emotion that you're trying to satisfy. And we see this in gate 40. Gate 40 is one of the alone gates, and it's also the lonely gate. It's driven to develop and support community. And one of the ways that it does that is by it's by getting that message. When it starts feeling lonely, when it's in a crowd and when it's with all of their friends or part of their community and they're feeling lonely, that message is cluing them into saying, okay, it's time to form a new community or rebuild this community or tweak this community. And that's a really important message for that gate 40 to listen to. The fifth line profile. The fifth line profile has a projection field. And the projection field can make the fifth line profile person feel invisible because essentially it's like a walking mirror. They're walking around with a mirror and everyone's seeing themselves reflected in the mirror and they think, oh, you are me, you are this, and you are that. And we never look behind the mirror to figure out who's behind it and what they want and who they are. Also, individual circuitry, and I just put all of the individual circuitry. There's a few sub-circuits in human design, but if you have any of these gates that are highlighted on this chart, this picture is showing all of the individual circuitry. And individual circuitry, it doesn't have that tribal energy. It's not looking to connect and form and unify and conform for the greater good of the whole. The community, it kind of likes doing its own thing, but it does get lonely. It does long to fit in, but it doesn't want to have to conform. And so it's looking for ways that it can do that, and it's looking for its own people, its own unique tribe that can allow it to be alone and do its own thing, but also satisfy that lonely need. Next is overwhelm. Okay, anywhere in human design that you have white, undefined areas, you are taking energy in and you're amplifying it. And so you need to reevaluate what is most important to you in the situation right now. And so if you have an open head, an open G center, an open solar plexus, an open root, an open sacral, you're taking in all this energy and you're amplifying it, and it's not even yours. Also, gate 29 is gate of commitment if you're taking on too many commitments. And gate 30 is one of the red flag burnout gates. If you have gate 30, you're super intense. And you kind of go overboard a little too often, and it can definitely overwhelm you. So teaching your child to listen to their emotions is going to allow them to express their emotions in a healthy, safe way so that they don't have to hide who they are, and they learn to be themselves. They learn to trust themselves. They learn to listen to themselves. And whenever they're in a group of their peers and their peers are, pressuring them to do something, they have the esteem and the confidence to say no. So what else can you do? You can experiment with them. You can definitely ask them, look, I see that you have some really big emotions going on. How can I support you? What's going on with you for you to be responding this way? Do you want to listen to music? Do you need to be alone? Do you want me to hold you and kiss you? As a mom, you just want to run over there and kiss your kids, and that's why I put this picture here, because that's usually what I do to my kids. Even though they don't like it or want it, do they need to scream in a pillow or dance? Because motion creates emotion. So the more that they're moving, the more you can discharge that energy in and experience higher emotions. So the next secret I want to talk about is how to listen to your child so they listen to you. So many people think that whenever someone has all these huge emotions, they're being really vulnerable, that means they're being weak. And because of that, they are criticized for having emotions and expressing those emotions. And if their emotions are super intense, people don't want to be around them. So they will either leave them alone or they will suppress it and tell them it won't allow them to express this intense emotions. They make them keep it inside. Like the comment, you want something to cry about? I'll give you something to cry about. But the truth is, feelings aren't right or wrong. They are messages. And allowing and teaching your child to fully express their emotions is a safe and appropriate way for them to express themselves, for them to trust themselves and learn who they are. And an emotion that gets repressed, it will fester. It's not going to just go away. But when you express the emotion, that's when it dissipates. That's whenever you can say, okay, I got the message, and now let's move forward. Here are some things that parents do to stop feelings. We're all guilty of them. And if you notice that you're doing this or have done this, this is something that you really want to look at, because especially number one, solve their problem, rescuing them, helping them too much, giving them advice and lecturing them. We want our kids to be the best. Well, how else are they going to be the best if they don't learn from us, right? Or if my kid is hurt or upset, I want them to feel better. One, it makes me feel better because then I'm not around this intense emotion, right? But it's also, I don't like seeing my child sad or hurting. And so when we teach our child, when we do too much for our child and solve their problem, then we don't teach them to trust themselves or their judgment. If we humiliate them or minimize their feelings or name call them or interrupt them or use sarcasm, all of those things, then they're going to feel like it's not safe for them to be themselves, and they will protect themselves by hiding. If you want to encourage your child to express their feelings in a healthy way, here's what you're going to do. You are going to listen intently. You are going to ask the question, what is going on with my child that would elicit this reaction? That's not like them. And I know this reaction and this behavior has a positive intent. I wonder what that is. Listen intently to your child and ask them how it makes them feel. Understand them. Tell them, I understand how you feel. And if I were you, I would feel the same way. Because if you were your child, that's exactly how you would be feeling. You know, get curious. Is this the first time that you felt this way? How long has this been going on? Ask questions to help your child solve the problem. You are not solving it for them. You are letting them do that when they're ready to. Ask them questions like, what would happen if? The feeling of being understood and accepted is going to be crucial in helping children work through their emotions. And that is the number one goal, right? So let me ask you a question. Are you enjoying the webinar so far? We've covered the power of language. We have covered why your kids matter, why your words matter, how to deal with your feelings and your child's feelings, how to listen to your child so they listen to you. And I want to just take a little moment here and check in on the comments. Any insight on bitterness? So yeah, absolutely. So bitterness is an expectation didn't get met. And that we see a lot in the projectors. They're not getting something they thought they should have gotten. It could be recognition, or it could be something physical like a raise or a particular job. I did not put bitterness in here. I'm sorry guys, I just don't have enough time to put every single one in here. But okay, so let me hop on Facebook and see what y'all are up to. Someone posted on Facebook, you don't have to love your family. Aww. Awesome, awesome. Okay, great. Awesome. Okay, all right, it looks like we're all good here and on Facebook. So, everyone who has stayed until the end, I have made a little ebook that I am going to post in the comments and share with you. And this is, this has some of the stuff that I talked about on the messages and emotions. And I just think it's really helpful and easy to look at. It's a little PDF that you can just open up and make sure I'm giving this to everyone. And I'm going to post this on Facebook. And this is going to support you so that you can see where your emotions, the messages in your emotions, and then ask them, hey, what's going on with me that would make me respond that way, you know? And when you start doing it for yourself, you're going to do it for your kids, or vice versa. Sometimes we do things more for others than we do for ourselves. And so you're probably willing to ask that question for your kids, like, oh, what's going on with them? I believe that this behavior has a positive intent no matter what it looks like or feels like or sounds like. And I want to definitely figure this out and support my child in realizing that these emotions are natural and they're giving her a beautiful message, and you have to trust yourself. Awesome, Nanette. Cool, yeah. All right, everyone. Well, thank y'all so much. I really appreciate all your time. I hope y'all enjoyed this, and y'all have the PDF in the chat right now. If anyone has any questions about human design and emotions, I know I couldn't put everything in, but we have about 10 minutes left, and I can take any questions that y'all have. And I will be checking Facebook, so you can post your question on Facebook or in Zoom. All right, it looks like we're good. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. I look so forward to hosting the Quantum Alignment Show next time. We will be sending out a replay on tomorrow, on Saturday. So stay tuned for that. Oh, here's a really good one. How can I act when my child tries to hurt me? And this is where you really got to be conscious and say, okay, my child is trying to hurt me. This has a positive intent. And the reason that a child, and I don't have all the details, typically the reason that a child will try to hurt either a parent or a sibling is because they are hurting themselves for some reason. And they have resorted to trying to hurt someone because they're not getting enough attention, or they're not feeling like they have control and they can make decisions over their lives, and they just don't know what else to do. And they're not feeling loved. And if they hurt you and you get angry or sad and it elicits emotion, then the child knows, my mom still loves me. And so that's typically why children do that. And so why don't you email me, Aylin, and we can talk more about that, because I need to have a lot more information about you and your child in order to give sound advice. This is just a generalization. So sometimes I feel it needs loneliness or actually seen. How can I find out what it is and what can I do? Well, first it's going to be talking to your child in a very curious, loving way and letting your child know, like, hey, you know what? I know this isn't really you. I know this, or depending on their age, you'd be like, this isn't like you. What's going on with you that's making you want to hurt me like this? And how long has this been going on? And how does it make you feel? And asking those questions are really going to let your child say, oh, wow, my mom actually cares and she loves me and let's figure this out. And then you can end it with, okay, next time you're feeling this way, give me a sign, like give me a signal, the signal could be this, or like this could be the signal. Like whenever depending on their age, it'll be a little goofy, but if it's, a teenager, the signal just might be like, whenever I cross my fingers, I'm feeling really angry and I need you to come talk to me. And whenever they hold up their fingers and you see that their fingers are across, and you go to them, you say, hey, tell me what's going on. I'm here for you. I want to listen to you. And you listen intently. And you ask them how that makes them feel. You ask them how long it's been going on and how you can support them. You may not be able to support them. Or they may ask you to, if they ask you to, like, hey, yeah, the way you can support me is by giving me, $100. That does not mean you're going to do whatever they tell you. But you are going to listen to them. You're going to understand them and empathize with them. Awesome. Awesome. Wonderful, Eileen. I will look forward to your email. All right. So we're good on Zoom. I just want to check Facebook one more time. Okay, cool. We're good on Facebook. So, all right, everyone. Okay, we got everyone answered. Thank y'all so much. Wonderful, wonderful, good stuff. I hope to support y'all and having a deeper connection with your family. This works on adults too, not just kids. So remember that, you could definitely use this with your partner and deepen that connection too. Oh, I love that, Leslie. Here's to a world of happier children. Yes, yes, absolutely. All right, y'all. Y'all have a great weekend, and I look forward to hosting again. Mwah. Bye.